Hello, everyone. This is Travis the Trader coming back to you live on Friday. This is September the 27th. A couple days ago, I had uploaded a video related to the NASDAQ 100. What are some of the investment products that one can use in order to obtain exposure to the NASDAQ? And today I'd like to shift over to the S&P 500. One of the more common ways of gaining exposure to the S&P 500 futures is /ES. And as I've mentioned before on a number of these futures products, many of them are, I would call them big boy trades. ES /ES is no different. I believe that one contract, and I'd love to get your comments for those of you who have comments on this. And again, please, for those of you that find value, please subscribe and like so that I can have the YouTube gods giving me some sort of favorability in the algos and the algorithm so that I can continue to give you good content onto the YouTube platform. But coming back here for 1 second, I believe one contract of the S&P 500 futures is, I think the way they measure it, it's 50 times the S&P 500 index. So you're looking at about a notional value of about $280,000, maybe $281,000. So it's a big trade. You're really controlling quite a bit there. So my suggestion to anybody who is looking to gain that exposure, keep it small. Look to trade maybe a defined risk, put spread, call spread. If you're directional, or for that matter, if you're looking to be delta neutral, maybe selling an iron condor. If you were looking, normally what I like to, and there's so many different strategies, and we'll go over it in future videos. But if you were just to go 49 days out and looking to put on just a regular naked put, selling a put at a 25 delta, 55.60, I mean, you're putting up close to $11,000, but you're making about $3,000. And what I wanted to point out about futures, as I mentioned this before, futures tend to be very cost efficient as opposed to your standard regular ETF. You're using a lot more leverage, of course. As everyone knows, leverage can be a double-edged sword. But if you feel comfortable enough with it, by all means, this could be a really good opportunity. Again, this is a big trade because you are putting up about close to 11,000. So maybe turn it into a put spread, right? Where as opposed to putting up 10,000, here you're only putting up about $200 for about $87.50 of credit. It's not bad. It's actually not a bad ROC, return on capital. It's not something that I would do. I would need to see more credit on something like this. But I generally don't trade the S&P 500, the big boy futures. If I was to do something like this, I tend to use /MES. These are the micros. If we go into the 49-day expiration, again, let's just say we're going to use, because we did a 23 delta before, that's 54.40. So here you're putting up about $1,000, let's say $1,100 at about $270 profit. And again, that's also not a bad return on capital either. Again, something to keep in mind. What's great about this is you have a variety of choice. There are a lot of different things. I don't think I would go with a defined risk on this because it's so small. Again, you have to remember the micro E-mini S&P 500 futures are 1/10 the size. So if you were to do something in the big boy pants, the big boy trade futures on the S&P, maybe do a defined risk. And if you wanted to do undefined risk, maybe look to go into the micro S&P 500 futures. The other thing I can suggest is, SPY. SPY, which is the S&P 500 futures ETF. And here, again, as you can see, lots and lots of expiration dates. So that already tells me, it should tell you as well, that there's quite a bit of liquidity in this underlying. However, if we do go 49 days out, let's just, again, use the 23 delta. That's a 547 strike. You're putting up about almost $9,000, $8,900, $9,000 for $500 credit. It's okay as a return on capital, but again, as I mentioned before, futures tend to be a lot more cost efficient. You also have to remember with the ETFs is that you do, again, if maybe if you have um, some calls that you're trading, that you have to be concerned for dividend risk as well. And again, I will bring up dividend risk in a later video, and why it's important to recognize exactly what that's all about. So as I said, there's ES, MES, SPY. They're all good for their own reasons. But again, it it should tell you that there's a variety of different product out there for you as the trader to gain exposure to the S&P, in order to further diversify one's portfolio. As I mentioned before, please, for those of you that found value, please subscribe to my channel. Please give me a thumbs up. And of course, I look forward to seeing everyone in the next video.